Well, thank you so much, everyone, for coming today. Welcome to Treaty 1, the homeland of the Red River Métis. It's great to be here next to the Canadian Museum for Human Rights to talk about the incredible team of women candidates who are stepping up to run for the Manitoba Liberal Party in this very important election. As a leader, it is humbling to have such intelligent, committed, kind, compassionate, effective, and frankly tough candidates running for us. And some of our male candidates are okay too. They're here. Sorry about that, gentlemen. But to Manitobans looking for a real choice for real change in this election, remember, not a single vote has yet been cast. And all you have to do is look at the candidates in your riding and vote for the best one. And I can tell you, without fear of contradiction, these are all the best candidates in your constituencies. I admit I am biased, and no disrespect to anyone else running. But all you have to do in this election is vote for the best candidate. And it'll work out well for you, and frankly, it will work out well for the province. So, again, I want to thank you all for putting your names forward. As a PC minister told me, if you really want to fix things in the Manitoba legislature, including the tone, you should elect more Manitoba Liberals. I'll just say a couple of things before I pass over to Rhonda Nicol. On my right, our candidate in Kirkfield Park, who will also introduce Cindy Lamoureux. I've been very lucky in my family to have connections to some real women pioneers. My grandfather's sister was one of the first doctors over 100 years ago to put herself through medical school in Boston. My aunt here in Winnipeg, Evelyn Anderson, was a working activist her entire life. And the Manitoba Liberal Party, with the support of strong women, has played a historic role in the advancement of women's rights in this province. It was a Manitoba Liberal government that brought in votes for women in 1916, who elected the first women MLA, Edith Rogers, who was Métis in 1920. Edith Rogers' daughter, Margaret Konantz, was elected the first women member of Parliament in Manitoba as a Liberal. And in 1984, Sharon Carstairs was elected the first woman leader of a political party. The Manitoba Liberal Party also had the second and third first leaders of women leaders of political parties before the other parties have elected one at all. The NDP have never elected one, though they did have an interim leader, and the PCs, of course, recently made Heather Stephenson their leader. But I was very lucky to grow up in a family and in a political party where it was always taken for granted that women were just as smart and capable as men, and very often more so. And I just want to say, part of the reason why we're here today and why we're next to the Museum for Human Rights, the reason our party has this history is that we stand for women's rights because we believe in individual human rights, and we believe the rather uncontroversial position that women are human beings and deserve all those rights under the law. So I'll turn it over to Rhonda Nicol, our Manitoba Liberal for Canada for Kirkfield Park, to introduce some of our new candidates. Thank you, Rhonda.
Thank you. So thank you. I am Rhonda Nicol. I am so proud to be joined by these strong candidates. Candidates to be nominated: Alvina Rundle, the Pas-Kameesak. Alvina is a community advocate for Lake St. Martin and beyond. Alvina Rundle is dedicated to helping Indigenous people involved in the justice system. She was instrumental in establishing courts in remote Indigenous communities and recruiting court elders to serve, while also providing language interpretation services and sentencing assistance to respective case judges. Welcome, Alvina. Eddie-Calisto Tavares,
Woo!
Maples. Eddie-Calisto Tavares was a candidate for the Manitoba Liberal Party in 2019. In 2020, when her father tested positive for COVID in the Maples care home, she donned PPE and personally went into care for him. Aside from residents, Calisto Tavares was one of the only people present in Maples when COVID swept through the facility, and 57 people died. Ever since, she has been a champion for the families who lost loved ones in that tragedy. She is a 30-year resident of the Maples and has worked for decades helping thousands of people transition to new jobs. Welcome, Eddie. Katherine Johnson, Fort Rouge. Katherine Johnson is a lifelong resident of the Winnipeg area and has spent years working behind the scenes in politics and political offices, including in the office of the late Member of Parliament and Cabinet Minister Jim Carr. Welcome, Katherine. Cyndy Friesen, Steinbach. Cyndy Friesen spent many years working for CN Rail and is a long-term resident of Steinbach and was a school trustee in the Hanover School Division who stood up and stood alone for the human rights of LGBTQS plus students. She ran for the MLP in 2019 and is dedicated to run in Steinbach after witnessing firsthand the crisis in Manitoba's healthcare system. Thank you, Cyndy. Monica Guetre, La Verendrye. Monica Guetre ran for the MLP in her home constituency in La Verendrye in 2011. She has a science degree from the University of Winnipeg, has managed an Aboriginal Development Corporation in the Northwest Territories, and has worked in finance for a pharmaceutical company and on a family farm in the La Verendrye area. Monica is at work, but she was out on the campaign trail already yesterday. Welcome, Monica. Nellie Monias, Keewatinook. A lifelong resident of Keewatinook, Nellie is passionate about serving her community of St. Teresa Point First Nation and surrounding communities. Among various positions, Nellie has served her community as a nursing station clerk and student services guidance counselor. She regularly volunteers working with First Nations community members for the improvement of medical and social issues, including ensuring educational opportunities and activities are accessible for youth and children, both on reserve and for off-reserve community members. Those are our new candidates. We have also nominated Cindy Lamoureux in Tyndall Park. Cyndy was the first MLA in Manitoba to call for Manitoba to create an independent office of a seniors advocate. In 2 elections in a row, she took on NDP incumbents and won. Cyndy's accomplishments include finally getting the Retired Teachers Association of Manitoba a seat on their own pension board, and together with MLP leader Dougal Lamont, Cyndy secured a commitment to the first ever outside review of Peter Nygaard's cases, finally resulting in Nygaard's arrest on Manitoba charges for the first time in 40 plus years. I'll hand this over to Cyndy now.
Thank you. I've had the opportunity to get to know these strong women who are surrounding me here today. And not only am I very excited that they're joining our team, but I'm exceptionally proud of the Manitoba Liberal Party for recruiting such strong candidates, strong women with such experience. The women surrounding me right now, they're experienced in nursing, in mental health, in advocating for seniors, and justice and finance. These are the types of people with this experience that we need inside of the Manitoba legislature. It takes a lot of courage and determination to run in politics, and I am so incredibly grateful to be running alongside such strong caliber slate of women within the Manitoba Liberal Party. And I'm proud to be part of the Manitoba Liberal Party because for the last 7 years of being elected, they have done nothing but support me. And I'm so thrilled that these women are joining our team.
And I just actually, I'll very briefly want to recognize our other female candidates, Michelle Biduski in Spruce Woods. Michelle is a business owner and entrepreneur who's been lives in Rivers in Spruce Woods. She's running a really great campaign. There's no PC incumbent in there, and she's getting a great response. The Amber Kinsley from Riel. There's the Amber, yes, of course, sorry. A frontline addictions worker. She's very familiar with all the challenges modern society represents, and she's been out on the doors as well. Shandy Strong. There's Shandy. Shandy Strong from Fort Garry has been giving back to her community for over 30 years. She's the founder of the Trans Pride Rally and March, the first trans candidate for public office in Canada, as well as an advocate and inspiration to her community in Winnipeg and beyond. And I did just want to say about Rhonda. Rhonda has seen firsthand the struggles that healthcare system faces with over 30, how many years of service? It's 37, so we to be clear, this is why. This is not resume inflation on Rhonda's part. She's not exaggerating how it was because you also worked as an EMT and healthcare aide before working as a nurse for nearly 30 years at the Grace Hospital, and then years after that as well as at Cancer Care. And Rhonda also has the distinction of being a candidate who has actually had legislation passed before she's been elected. So, which is the Family Council legislation that we passed, which will play a huge role in helping to protect residents and their families who in personal care homes, because we've assured that families who can get together, set up a family council, that the personal care home has to listen to. So that is a major accomplishment, especially considering we had to get all the other parties to vote for it. So, and I just want to thank everybody for very much for putting yourselves forward, because politics, as people say, can be difficult. People also often note that it's a challenge for women in a number of different ways, including fundraising. There are real practical challenges to the obstacles that women face, in part because it's a system that has not been designed to accommodate them. Actually, another example would be the fact, another thing that Cyndy got done was we actually got changing tables put in the women's washrooms in the legislature. So, because it was not ever designed as a building with the expectation that women would be there. So, if we want to change politics, part of it actually means changing the way we think and changing how we vote, and putting different people in. The change really can happen, and I could not imagine standing with a stronger group of candidates. So.
Correct. I am not in the health services. I was not a nurse. I was a daughter. And as a daughter, I felt it was my duty to go and look after my father. Yes, I had to learn certain aspects of the healthcare to keep myself safe and my father. My background is human resources. It's all about people and connecting with people. Why am I here today? Because I want to be part of the change. I can, as an immigrant, as a woman, as a liberal, I can participate and become part of democracy. And I cannot just stand on the sidelines and not be part of the change. This is a passion project. Anything I do in advocacy, whether I know it or I don't, I learn as I go, but it comes from the heart. I can articulate my thoughts, and I can fight hard until I get what I need done. So the plan to go into the Maples was that. I put together a plan, and nobody could say no to my plan, because I was a daughter who needed to go and look after her dad. And I reached out to politicians in my life. I reached out to the media, who have been so critical in the changes that I've made. And that's why I'm here today.